Most people never lose to failure. They lose to distraction. Every dream that died, every goal that faded, every promise you made to yourself and broke, it all began the same way. You lost focus. The world is built to steal your attention. Every ping, every scroll, every voice telling you to take it easy is designed to break your discipline. But there comes a moment when you get tired of being average, tired of starting and stopping, tired of knowing you could be more, but never following through. That moment right there, that's when everything changes. This is not about motivation. It's about domination. The ability to command your mind when it resists, to work when you do not feel like it, to finish what you start no matter what. If you've ever asked yourself why you can't stay focused or why success feels just out of reach, keep listening. Because what you'll learn here will show you how to take control of your attention, destroy distractions, and force your mind to obey your mission. Stay until the end, because this might be the moment you finally wake up. Chapter 1. The Enemy of Focus. Distraction is not just an inconvenience. It is the silent killer of potential. It does not destroy you overnight. It erodes you one scroll, one notification, one "I will do it later" at a time. And before you realize it, weeks have passed, months have disappeared, and your dreams have turned into memories of what could have been. The truth is, you are not lazy. You are not broken. You are not incapable. You are simply surrounded by a world engineered to keep you unfocused. Every app, every platform, every piece of technology you use is designed to win one thing from you: your attention. Your attention is currency, and you are spending it without realizing how much it costs. In ancient times, warriors protected their weapons because they knew without them they could not survive. In this modern age, your weapon is focus, and most people have given it away freely. The enemy does not come with fire or swords anymore. It comes with distractions that feel harmless, even entertaining. It comes disguised as comfort, convenience, and connection. You wake up, and the first thing you reach for is your phone. Before your feet touch the floor, your mind has already been hijacked. You scroll, you compare, you react, and without even realizing it, your focus is gone before the day begins. The battle was lost before you entered the field. Focus is not just about attention. It is about energy. Every thought, every click, every mental detour costs you energy. You cannot do deep work when your mind is fragmented. You cannot stay disciplined when you are feeding your brain constant novelty. You cannot reach mastery if you are constantly resetting your attention span to zero. The greatest enemy of focus is not the outside world. It is the inner one, the part of you that craves comfort more than progress. The part that fears boredom, the part that whispers just 5 more minutes. That voice has stolen more dreams than failure ever could. We live in a time where people mistake being busy for being productive. They fill their days with noise, but never move closer to what actually matters. They chase urgency instead of importance. They mistake reaction for action. Focus requires you to slow down, to choose deliberately, to resist the constant pull of distraction. And that goes against everything the modern world rewards. To understand how to force yourself to stay focused, you first have to understand what you are up against. Your brain was not designed for this world. It evolved for survival, not stimulation. It seeks novelty because novelty once meant opportunity. In the wild, something new could be food, safety, or danger. But now novelty is everywhere. Every scroll, every notification, every flashing thumbnail feeds the same instinct. And that constant stimulation is training your brain to crave variety instead of depth. Depth is where greatness is born. Every master, every creator, every visionary who changed the world learned how to go deep. They trained their minds to stay locked on one task long enough to reach the level most people never touch. That level requires stillness. It requires the ability to stay when your mind wants to flee. It requires the ability to say no when every part of you wants to check out. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you worked on something for 2 hours straight without touching your phone, without checking messages, without letting your mind wander? Most people cannot remember. That is how strong distraction has become. It is not a bad habit anymore. It is an addiction. And like any addiction, the first step to breaking it is awareness. Start paying attention to how often you reach for distraction. Notice the urge to escape the present moment. Notice how uncomfortable stillness feels. That discomfort is not weakness. It is withdrawal. You are detoxing from noise. And like any detox, it hurts before it heals. But once you push through it, your mind starts to clear. You start to notice silence again. You start to feel focus returning, like strength rebuilding after an injury. Focus is not about eliminating all distraction. That is impossible. It is about managing it. It is about building an environment and mindset where focus becomes easier than distraction. You cannot win the battle for focus with willpower alone. You win it through design. You design your habits, your surroundings, and your systems to make focus the default. If your workspace is full of clutter, your mind will be too. If your phone is full of temptation, your attention will be divided. The mind follows the path of least resistance. Make that path lead toward focus. Discipline is not a one-time act. It is a lifestyle. You do not get focused once and stay that way forever. You train it daily. You recommit every morning. You rebuild it every time you get distracted. And with every repetition, you become stronger. The greatest performers in the world are not the ones who never get distracted. They are the ones who recover their focus the fastest. They understand that losing focus is part of the process. But they also understand that every time they return to the task, they are sharpening their mental blade. Your enemy is subtle. It will not shout. It will whisper. It will come in the form of small distractions disguised as harmless moments. A quick scroll, a short video, a meaningless conversation. But those moments add up, and one day you look back and realize you have built a life full of unfinished things. Projects that never took off, goals that never materialized, dreams that died in drafts and daydreams. You cannot let that be your story. The ability to focus is not just about success. It is about freedom. When you can control your attention, you can control your life. When you can direct your thoughts, you can direct your destiny. Focus is the ultimate superpower in a world that profits from your distraction. The enemy is everywhere, but so is the opportunity to rise above it. Every moment you choose focus, you are taking back a piece of yourself. You are reclaiming your time, your mind, your future. The enemy of focus thrives when you do not notice it. But once you see it clearly, it loses power. Awareness is the first step. Action is the next. In the next chapter, we will uncover the truth about self-control. We will examine how your brain reacts to discipline and how you can reprogram it to work for you instead of against you, because once you understand the science of your own mind, you stop fighting focus and start mastering it. Chapter 2. The Science of Self-Control. If focus is the weapon, self-control is the hand that wields it. You cannot force yourself to stay focused without understanding how your own mind works. The battle for focus is not external. It is fought inside the brain, between impulse and intention. And the one that wins determines the life you live. The mind is not designed for discipline. It is designed for survival. Thousands of years ago, the brain learned to seek pleasure and avoid pain because that kept our ancestors alive. Hunger meant danger. Comfort meant safety. That programming still runs deep within you. The problem is that in the modern world, the very instincts that once kept you alive are now keeping you average. When your brain wants to rest instead of work, it is not being lazy. It is following ancient code. When you crave the quick reward of checking your phone instead of finishing your task, that is your reward system at play. It is not a lack of motivation. It is biology. And to master focus, you must learn to master this biology. Your brain runs on chemicals that decide what you feel, what you want, and what you chase. The most powerful of these is dopamine. Dopamine is not pleasure itself. It is the anticipation of pleasure. It is the spark that makes you move towards something. It is the reason you scroll endlessly. The reason you chase instant validation, the reason you lose hours to distraction. Each click, each like, each novelty gives your brain a small hit of dopamine. It feels good, but it teaches your mind to crave short bursts of excitement instead of long stretches of effort. Over time, your brain becomes addicted to stimulation. It stops recognizing effort as valuable. It starts seeking comfort instead of challenge. This is why so many people say they cannot focus. It is not that they lack ability. It is that they have trained their brain to expect constant reward. And when a task does not provide it, the brain rebels. Self-control begins with understanding this system. You cannot fight your biology through willpower alone. You must rewire it. The same way you can train your muscles through resistance, you can train your mind through restraint. Every time you resist the impulse to check your phone, you are teaching your brain patience. Every time you push through boredom and stay on the task, you are reprogramming your reward system to value depth over distraction. The secret is to control the source of your dopamine, not let dopamine control you. Most people chase the quick hit. Successful people delay it. They learn to associate reward with progress, not with escape. They get pleasure from the process, not from avoiding it. That shift changes everything. Because when your brain learns that satisfaction comes from completing the work instead of avoiding it, discipline becomes natural. But you must understand something. Self-control is not built in a day. It is not a single moment of willpower. It is a daily practice. The brain does not rewire overnight. It changes through repetition. Every time you choose to focus when you want to drift, you strengthen the neural pathways that support discipline. Think of it like building a road through the forest. The more you travel it, the clearer it becomes. Eventually, it becomes the natural path. Your environment also plays a role. Self-control becomes easier when your surroundings support it. If temptation is always within reach, your brain will always choose the path of least resistance. Reduce the friction. Remove what distracts you. If your workspace invites laziness, change it. If your habits feed distraction, break them. The science is clear. You cannot rely on motivation. You must build systems that make discipline automatic. Another truth most people overlook is that self-control requires energy. It runs on something called mental glucose, a finite resource that depletes as the day goes on. This is why you can resist temptation in the morning, but give in by night. The solution is not to be harder on yourself, but to manage your energy. Structure your most important tasks when your willpower is strongest. Protect your focus early, and it will carry you later. You must also learn to forgive yourself when you fail, because you will fail. Everyone does. The key is not to make failure emotional. It is simply data. When you lose focus, ask why. What triggered it? What could you change next time? This transforms failure into feedback, and feedback into growth. People often think self-control means suppression, that you must deny your desires completely. That is wrong. Real self-control is redirection. You do not erase desire. You guide it. You take the same energy that fuels distraction and channel it toward purpose. The same dopamine that once made you crave comfort can make you addicted to growth. When you associate progress with pleasure, the brain follows willingly. This is why small wins matter. Every time you finish something you said you would do, celebrate it. Not with distraction, but with recognition. You are teaching your brain that focus feels good. Over time, this creates a feedback loop that sustains motivation naturally. You no longer have to force yourself. Your biology starts working for you, not against you. Another critical part of self-control is emotional regulation. Most distractions are not about entertainment. They are about escape. You reach for your phone not because you are bored, but because you are avoiding discomfort. You avoid the hard task not because you cannot do it, but because it brings uncertainty, fear, or doubt. Self-control is the ability to sit with those emotions without reacting, to feel discomfort and still move forward. That is the mark of mastery. When you can separate emotion from action, focus becomes effortless. You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop chasing motivation. You act because that is who you are. That is when you become unstoppable. Every person you admire, every athlete, artist, or entrepreneur who achieved greatness mastered this same principle. They are not more talented. They are not luckier. They simply learned to control themselves when others could not. They learned to act on purpose, not impulse. That is the real secret. The science of self-control teaches us that freedom does not come from doing whatever you want. It comes from having the strength to choose what matters most. Every time you resist a distraction, every time you focus on what truly matters, you are reclaiming power. That power compounds. It builds resilience, character, and self-respect. So remember this. Self-control is not about restriction. It is about direction. The moment you decide to master it, you begin to separate yourself from the masses. Most people are slaves to impulse. A few, those who understand their mind, become masters of destiny. In the next chapter, we will talk about the discipline switch. You will learn how to flip the mental circuit that moves you from hesitation to action, from emotion to execution. Because understanding the science is only half the battle. The next step is learning how to use it. Chapter 3, the discipline switch. Every person who has ever achieved greatness shares one moment in common. It's not the moment they got inspired or motivated. It is the moment they decided to act, even when they did not feel like it. That is the discipline switch. It is the invisible trigger that separates those who wait to feel ready from those who move regardless of emotion. Discipline begins where feelings end. Most people think they lack motivation, when in truth they lack the ability to act without it. They wait for the right mood, the right time, or the right spark to start. But that perfect moment never comes. The discipline switch is what you flip when you stop waiting and start doing. It is the shift from emotion to execution. The human brain loves comfort. It resists anything that feels like effort, because effort once meant danger. Long ago, using energy without a guaranteed reward could have been fatal. That is why, even today, your brain tells you to delay the workout, postpone the project, or take a break from the hard thing. The mind still confuses discomfort with threat. But the discipline switch rewires that pattern. It teaches your brain that discomfort is not danger. It is growth. Think of every moment you faced a task you did not want to do. You felt that quiet negotiation in your head, the one that says, maybe later. That voice is not weakness. It is biology. The brain is protecting you from perceived pain. But the moment you act despite that voice, something powerful happens. You prove to your brain that the pain it fears does not exist. You break the illusion of resistance. And once you do it often enough, the mind stops arguing. The discipline switch is built through repetition. It is not a one-time burst of willpower. It is the habit of taking small, immediate action every time hesitation appears. The longer you wait, the louder the resistance grows. But the instant you move, the illusion collapses. The hardest part of any task is not the work itself. It is the first few seconds before starting. Once motion begins, momentum takes over. This is why you must learn to act quickly. When the thought of doing something arises, count down from 3 and begin. Do not give your brain the time to build excuses. Action resets the mind. The moment you move, emotion follows. You cannot think your way into discipline. You must act your way into it. The switch also requires clarity. You cannot stay disciplined if your goals are vague. The mind does not commit to confusion. Write down what you want with precision. Be specific about what success looks like and break it down into daily actions. When your brain knows exactly what to do, resistance weakens. You will also notice that the discipline switch does not always feel heroic. Sometimes it feels small, almost invisible. It is choosing to write 1 page instead of scrolling. It is going for a short run when you promised yourself an hour. It is saying no to one distraction. Those moments may seem trivial, but each one is a vote for the identity you are building. Discipline compounds quietly. When you act consistently, the brain begins to trust you. It learns that your actions are not ruled by emotion. That trust becomes strength. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop seeking motivation because you have already built reliability. That is the difference between discipline and willpower. Willpower fades. Discipline endures. You may wonder why some days you feel unstoppable and others you cannot move. The answer lies in your mental triggers. Every habit you have is tied to a cue. You can build discipline faster by creating triggers that automatically start your focus. For example, sitting at your desk can signal work time. Putting on running shoes can trigger exercise. Over time, these cues become hardwired. You no longer need to force yourself. The environment does it for you. Another part of mastering the discipline switch is understanding emotional neutrality. You cannot let your mood decide your movement. Some days you will feel inspired. Some days you will not. But neither should change your behavior. Discipline is not about denying emotion. It is about not obeying it. The more you practice neutrality, the more consistent you become. Think about a soldier in training. They wake up at the same time, perform the same routines, no matter how they feel. Their emotions do not dictate their actions. Their commitment does. You must become that kind of soldier for your own goals. Because the truth is, freedom requires structure. The more disciplined you become, the freer you feel. Do not confuse discipline with punishment. It's not about being hard on yourself. It is about being loyal to your future. The pain of discipline is temporary. The regret of inaction lasts forever. Every act of discipline is an act of self-respect. It says, I am someone who follows through. That belief builds confidence. To master the switch, you must also learn recovery. Discipline without rest leads to burnout, and burnout kills consistency. The goal is not to work non-stop, but to work deliberately. Schedule rest with the same seriousness you schedule effort. Rest is not laziness. It is maintenance. It keeps your discipline sustainable. The biggest trap you will face is inconsistency disguised as progress. You will start strong for a few days, then fade, then restart. Each restart drains momentum. The discipline switch eliminates that cycle. It does not allow you to rely on motivation spikes. It builds a stable rhythm. You act no matter what. You execute because it is who you are. When you master this, you become unstoppable. Not because you are always inspired, but because you have learned to operate independently of inspiration. You no longer need the fire to burn. You have become the fire. The discipline switch is not dramatic. It is subtle. It happens in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It happens when you choose to stay on task while everyone else scrolls away the day. It happens when you show up tired, when you finish what you started, when you refuse to make excuses. That is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. They flip the switch again and again until discipline becomes their identity. In the next chapter, we will confront the addiction that fights this process most directly, the addiction to distraction. You will learn how to break the cycle of dependency on constant stimulation, so you can reclaim control of your attention and protect your focus for what truly matters. Because once you understand how to stop feeding distraction, the power to stay focused becomes unstoppable. Chapter 4. Breaking Distraction Addiction. Every man who has ever tried to stay focused has fought the same invisible enemy. It is not laziness. It is not lack of motivation. It is distraction. The quiet, constant pull that turns minutes into hours and purpose into noise. Distraction has become the most powerful addiction of our time. And like any addiction, it must be broken deliberately. Distraction is not random. It is engineered. Every notification, every headline, every social feed is designed to steal your attention. You are not fighting your phone. You are fighting an entire industry that studies human psychology to keep you hooked. They know your brain better than you do. They know that curiosity is addictive, that novelty feels like reward, and that uncertainty keeps you scrolling. You do not even need to like what you see. You just need to stay looking. The truth is, distraction feels harmless because it happens in small doses. A few minutes here, a few swipes there. But over time, those moments build a habit. The brain starts expecting stimulation at all times. Silence becomes uncomfortable. Stillness feels wrong. You reach for your phone before your thoughts can even form. And soon your ability to focus weakens. not because you lost it, but because you trained it to disappear. The first step in breaking distraction addiction is awareness. You cannot fight what you do not see. Every time you grab your phone, ask yourself why. Is it boredom? Is it anxiety? Is it avoidance? Most distractions are emotional escapes, not entertainment. You are not scrolling because you care about the content. You are scrolling because it numbs something deeper. Maybe you are tired of failing to make progress. Maybe you fear the silence that makes you think. When you name the reason, the habit starts to lose its power. The second step is detox. Not forever, but long enough to reset your brain. Start with 24 hours. No mindless scrolling, no constant checking. Notice how your mind reacts. You will feel restless at first, like you are missing something. That discomfort is withdrawal. It is the same feeling any addict experiences when the supply is cut. But if you stay with it, the noise starts to fade. You begin to think clearer. You start to feel time again. That clarity is what you have been missing. When you take away distractions, you create space. Space for boredom, space for thought, space for creativity. Boredom is not the enemy of productivity. It is the birthplace of it. When the brain is not overstimulated, it begins to wander. That wandering leads to ideas, connections, and insights that constant noise blocks. Every great thinker, artist, or innovator understood the value of solitude. They made time to disconnect, not because they hated the world, but because they needed silence to hear their own mind. Once you have detoxed, rebuild your relationship with technology. You cannot escape it completely, but you can use it consciously. Design your environment so distraction does not have easy access. Keep your phone out of reach when you work. Turn off notifications that do not serve your goals. Use social media only at specific times. Treat it like a tool, not a toy. There is a simple truth. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Whatever controls it, controls you. If you give it away freely, you lose ownership of your life. But if you guard it fiercely, you become unstoppable. Every focused hour becomes a weapon. Every quiet moment becomes strength. To understand how deep distraction goes, look at what happens when you try to focus. Within minutes, your brain starts craving novelty. You think of checking something. You feel that urge to switch. That is dopamine withdrawal. Your brain wants another hit. You can train yourself to resist it. When you feel that pull, do not fight it with frustration. Observe it. Let it pass. The urge lasts only a few minutes. If you can survive that wave, your focus deepens naturally. You can also use what I call attention anchors. These are specific rituals or objects that bring you back when your mind drifts. It could be taking a deep breath, repeating a phrase like return to work, or even something physical like straightening your posture. Over time, the brain connects these actions with concentration. They become shortcuts back to focus. One powerful way to retrain your attention is through deep work. Choose a single task and commit to it fully for 90 minutes. No multitasking, no checking, just presence. At first, your mind will resist. It will whisper, just a quick look, just one message, ignore it. The longer you hold focus, the quieter that voice becomes. After a few weeks, your tolerance for focus grows. You begin to crave depth instead of distraction. Another method is to replace consumption with creation. Every minute spent consuming someone else's content is a minute not spent building your own. The act of creating engages the brain differently. It demands attention, patience, and clarity. It transforms passive energy into active power. When you create, you are in control. When you consume, you are being controlled. Distraction addiction thrives on hidden guilt. You waste time, feel bad about it, and then use distraction again to escape that guilt. It becomes a cycle. To break it, replace judgment with awareness. When you catch yourself distracted, do not shame yourself. Simply return to what matters. Every time you come back, you strengthen your focus. Every return is a small victory. There is also a spiritual side to this. Constant distraction keeps you disconnected from yourself. You start to lose touch with who you are and what you truly want. Silence, though uncomfortable, reconnects you. It reminds you of your values, your desires, your truth. Many people fear silence because it reveals what they are avoiding. But if you face it, it becomes your greatest teacher. In a world that rewards reaction, stillness is rebellion. The ability to remain calm and focused while everything around you demands your attention is power. It is what separates the reactive from the intentional, the lost from the leaders. You do not need to eliminate all distractions to be free. You need to master the choice. The power to decide where your attention goes is the ultimate form of control. Every time you choose focus over noise, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Breaking distraction addiction will not happen overnight. It takes awareness, patience, and discipline. But once you experience the peace of full attention, you will never want to go back. You will realize that most of what you thought was urgent never mattered. The things that truly matter have been waiting in the silence all along. In the next chapter, we will explore the foundation that holds your focus steady, the routines and systems that make discipline automatic. Because once you learn to protect your attention, the next step is learning how to structure your day so that every action moves you forward with purpose. Chapter 5, Building Unbreakable Routines. Focus without structure eventually collapses. You can have all the willpower in the world, but without systems to guide it, that energy burns out. Routines are the backbone of discipline. They turn effort into consistency and consistency into transformation. Building unbreakable routines is not about filling your day with tasks. It is about designing a life that aligns with your goals automatically. Every person who succeeds consistently follows a system. It might look simple on the surface, but it is carefully constructed to eliminate friction, reduce decision fatigue, and make progress effortless. The truth is, success is not a product of intensity. It is a product of rhythm. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not those who do everything at once. They are the ones who repeat the right things long enough for the world to notice. Your brain loves patterns. It looks for them, depends on them, and runs on them. Every habit you have, good or bad, follows a loop: cue, routine, reward. When you understand this cycle, you can begin to design routines that work for you instead of against you. Start with the cue. A cue is the trigger that initiates a behavior. It could be a time of day, an emotion, or a place. For example, sitting at your desk might cue work mode, or putting on gym clothes might cue training mode. The key is to connect your desired behavior to a consistent cue. Once that connection is made, the routine follows naturally. Next comes the routine itself. This is the action you perform. The brain prefers routines that are simple and predictable. If your routine feels complicated or overwhelming, your mind will resist it. Start small. You can always build from there. The most powerful routines are not the longest. They are the ones that can survive the hardest days. The final piece is the reward. The brain repeats what feels good. When you finish a productive session, give yourself a moment to feel that accomplishment. Recognize it consciously. That small feeling of satisfaction teaches your mind that focus brings pleasure, not pain. Over time, that emotional reinforcement turns discipline into instinct. Many people fail to build routines because they try to change everything at once. They redesign their entire day overnight, only to collapse under the weight of it a week later. The secret is to build slowly. Focus on one cornerstone habit at a time. Once that habit becomes automatic, add another. You are not building a schedule. You are building a system of identity. One of the most effective ways to structure your day is by dividing it into zones of focus. Morning is for creation. Afternoon is for execution. Evening is for reflection. The morning is when your mind is most alert and least cluttered. Use it for your most demanding or creative tasks. The afternoon is when energy dips, so use it for tasks that require less creativity but still matter. The evening is your time to review, plan, and reset. This rhythm allows you to flow through the day with direction instead of resistance. Each part of your day has a clear purpose. You stop reacting to chaos and start leading your time. That alone can change your life. Another essential part of building unbreakable routines is protecting your start and your finish. How you begin and end your day shapes everything in between. A strong morning routine gives you momentum. A strong evening routine gives you recovery. Your morning routine does not need to be elaborate. It needs to be intentional. Wake up, hydrate, move your body, and set your mind. Avoid checking your phone. Start with silence or gratitude. Remind yourself what matters today. These small acts put your mind in control before the world tries to control it. Your evening routine should help you disconnect. Write down what you accomplished. Reflect on what you learned. Plan tomorrow. Then step away from screens and noise. Allow your mind to unwind. Rest is not a luxury, it is fuel. Without recovery, discipline becomes exhaustion. There is another reason routines matter. They eliminate decision fatigue. Every decision costs energy. When you waste that energy on small choices, like what to wear or what to eat, you weaken the mental strength you need for what truly matters. Routines automate the ordinary so you can focus on the extraordinary. Think of your favorite athletes, artists, or entrepreneurs. They all have rituals. They wear the same thing, eat the same breakfast, follow the same schedule. It is not monotony. It is mastery. Repetition frees the mind from chaos. It allows creativity and discipline to coexist. Consistency is not about perfection. You will miss days. You will fall off track. What matters is how quickly you return. One bad day does not break a routine. Quitting does. Forgive yourself fast and return to the rhythm. Momentum grows from resilience, not flawlessness. The deeper truth behind unbreakable routines is identity. When you repeat an action long enough, it becomes who you are. You no longer say, I have to work out. You say, I am someone who trains. You no longer say, I need to focus. You say, I am someone who finishes what I start. Identity is the highest form of discipline because it no longer requires effort. It becomes natural. To make your routines unbreakable, tie them to meaning. A routine without purpose becomes mechanical. A routine with meaning becomes sacred. When you wake up early, remind yourself it is not about the time. It is about honoring your future. When you work hard, remind yourself it is not about the task. It is about becoming the person capable of great things. Purpose turns discipline into devotion. Building unbreakable routines also requires you to design your environment intentionally. Your surroundings influence your behavior more than you realize. If your workspace is messy, your mind will be too. If your bed is next to your desk, your brain associates rest with work. Separate the two. Make your environment reflect your goals. When you walk into a space, it should remind you of who you are becoming. Finally, remember that routines are not cages. They are scaffolding. They hold you up while you grow. Once the habits are built, you can adapt them. Flexibility does not weaken discipline. It strengthens it. Routines should serve your purpose, not the other way around. Building unbreakable routines is the bridge between intention and transformation. It is what turns your goals into habits and your dreams into reality. Once you build structure, focus becomes effortless. Once focus becomes effortless, growth becomes inevitable. In the next chapter, we will go deeper into energy management. You will learn how to master your physical and mental energy so that your focus and discipline stay powerful all day long. Because a strong routine is only as effective as the energy that fuels it. Chapter 6. Mastering your energy. Discipline and focus mean little if your energy is drained. You can have the best goals, the sharpest plans, and the strongest willpower, but without energy, nothing moves. Energy is the fuel that powers every decision, every action, and every comeback. If you do not learn how to master it, your productivity will always be inconsistent. Mastering your energy is about learning when to push, when to pause, and how to sustain yourself for the long run. The modern world constantly drains you. You are surrounded by noise, notifications, stress, and overstimulation. You start each day with a charged phone but a depleted mind. You go through your tasks like a machine running on low battery. The problem is not that you lack time. The problem is that you waste energy on things that do not matter. Time is constant. Energy is not. Those who manage energy wisely live 10 times more effectively than those who simply manage time. Energy has 3 layers: physical, mental, and emotional. All 3 are connected. Neglect one, and the others fall apart. If you are physically tired, your mental focus drops. If you are emotionally drained, your motivation disappears. That is why high performers protect their energy as fiercely as their goals. They know that consistency begins with vitality. Start with the body. Your physical energy sets the foundation for everything else. Most people underestimate how much their physical habits shape their focus. Poor sleep, bad diet, and inactivity create a fog that no amount of motivation can clear. If your body is running on fumes, your mind cannot stay sharp. Sleep is not a weakness. It is a strategy. It repairs your system, resets your mind, and restores your discipline. You cannot grind forever without rest. Eventually, your body collects the debt. Learn your energy rhythms. Every person has natural peaks and valleys throughout the day. For some, the mind is sharpest early in the morning. For others, it ignites later. Identify your personal rhythm and align your most important work with your highest energy hours. Do not fight your biology. Work with it. When you use your peak energy for deep work and your lower energy for lighter tasks, productivity becomes effortless. Movement also fuels energy. You do not need intense workouts every day, but you do need motion. Physical movement increases blood flow, oxygen, and focus. It resets the nervous system and clears mental fog. Even a short walk can change your entire mindset. The body is not separate from the brain. It is the vehicle that carries your willpower. Take care of it, and your mind will follow. Then comes mental energy. Your brain has a limited capacity for deep focus each day. It cannot handle constant switching between tasks. Every time you change focus, you burn fuel. The more you multitask, the faster you drain your mental reserves. This is why you must guard your focus windows carefully. Eliminate unnecessary decisions. Reduce mental clutter. Schedule time blocks for specific tasks and protect them. Once you start focusing, do not break the flow. Each interruption costs more energy than you realize. To recharge mental energy, embrace stillness. Meditation, breathing, or even a few minutes of silence can reset your system. You are not wasting time by pausing. You are refueling the mind that drives everything else. Some of the most productive people in history understood this deeply. They took long walks or quiet breaks not to escape work, but to think clearly. Mental clarity is not created through force. It is created through space. The third layer is emotional energy, and this is the one most people ignore. Your emotions either charge you or drain you. Stress, resentment, and worry are heavy energy leaks. They consume mental focus without you realizing it. You cannot hold anger or anxiety in your body and expect to feel powerful. Emotional discipline does not mean suppressing feelings. It means understanding them and letting them move through you. The most powerful people are emotionally neutral. They do not allow their mood to dictate their output. They have learned to stay steady when others crumble. That steadiness comes from detachment. Detachment is not apathy. It is clarity. It is the ability to see things for what they are, not what your emotions tell you they are. When you master emotional neutrality, you stop wasting energy on reactions that do not serve you. You must also understand energy exchange. The people and environments you surround yourself with either feed or drain you. Spend time around chaos, gossip, or negativity, and you will feel heavy. Spend time around purpose, gratitude, and challenge, and you will feel alive. Guard your environment like a gatekeeper. Protect your energy from those who do not value it. Nutrition also plays a vital role. What you eat either sustains or sabotages your focus. Heavy, processed food dulls the mind. Whole, clean food fuels clarity. Your body is an engine. Feed it poorly and it breaks down. Treat it well and it becomes unstoppable. Hydration too is underrated. Even small levels of dehydration can impair cognitive performance. Keep your body charged, and your brain will thank you. Another critical part of energy mastery is learning to say no. Every yes costs energy. Every commitment you accept pulls from your focus reserves. The more you say yes to things that do not align with your purpose, the less energy you have for what truly matters. Saying no is not selfish. It is strategy. It protects your priorities and keeps your mind clean. There will also be moments when your energy feels low, despite doing everything right. That is normal. You are not a machine. Energy fluctuates. The goal is not constant intensity. The goal is sustainable momentum. When you feel depleted, do not force yourself to push endlessly. Rest strategically. Take a break before you burn out. A short pause is more powerful than a long recovery after collapse. To master your energy fully, you must live in cycles, not straight lines. Push, recover, push again. Work with your body's natural flow instead of against it. The most productive people are not the ones who never stop. They are the ones who know when to pause and recharge before moving forward again. Mastering energy is also about mindset. The thoughts you feed yourself affect how much energy you have. Negative thinking drains energy faster than any workload. Gratitude, purpose, and optimism replenish it. When you remind yourself why you are doing something, you generate emotional fuel. The stronger your why, the longer your energy lasts. If you want to reach peak performance, build your days around energy, not time. Structure your life to protect the moments when you feel most alive. Schedule rest as seriously as you schedule work. Keep your mind uncluttered, your body cared for, and your emotions balanced. Energy mastery is the secret behind consistency. Without it, discipline turns into exhaustion. With it, focus becomes effortless. When your body, mind, and emotions move in harmony, you become unstoppable. You no longer burn out chasing your goals. You glide toward them with power and control. In the next chapter, we will explore the mindset that transforms temporary discipline into permanent identity. You will learn how to shift from doing disciplined things to becoming a disciplined person. Because when focus becomes who you are, not just what you do, your energy and success align for life. Chapter 7. Becoming the Disciplined Identity. There comes a point in your journey when discipline can no longer be something you do. It must become something you are. The difference between temporary effort and lifelong transformation lies in identity. You can force yourself to act for a while, but eventually your mind returns to what it believes you are. True mastery begins when discipline is not an act of willpower, but an expression of self. The mind always seeks alignment between identity and behavior. If you see yourself as lazy, your actions will eventually reflect that belief, no matter how hard you try to change. If you see yourself as disciplined, your actions will naturally follow that image. This is why changing your habits without changing your self-image rarely lasts. You cannot build consistency on a foundation of contradiction. Think about how people define themselves. They say, "I am not a morning person," or "I am terrible at staying focused." Every time those words are repeated, they reinforce a story. The mind accepts that story as truth and behaves accordingly. You cannot expect to live beyond the identity you keep repeating to yourself. That is why one of the most powerful things you can do is rewrite your self-definition. Becoming the disciplined identity begins with language. The words you speak shape the way you see yourself. Stop saying you are trying to be disciplined. Say that you are disciplined. Stop saying you hope to stay focused. Say that focus is what defines you. The brain listens. Over time, it begins to act in harmony with your words. But identity cannot be built with words alone. It must be proven through evidence. Every action you take either confirms or contradicts the person you want to become. Each time you follow through on what you said you would do, you cast a vote for your future self. Each time you give in to distraction, you cast a vote for the past. The identity that wins is the one you feed the most. This is why small habits matter more than grand gestures. Big goals create excitement. Small habits create identity. You do not need to transform everything overnight. You need to show up consistently in small ways until your brain accepts that this is who you are now. Consistency, not intensity, changes self-perception. One of the strongest forces in human psychology is the desire to remain consistent with who we believe we are. Once you start seeing yourself as a certain kind of person, you will do almost anything to prove that identity true. This can work against you if your self-image is negative, but it becomes unstoppable when it is built on strength. To build a disciplined identity, visualize the person you want to become. Picture how they act, how they speak, how they handle challenges, then begin to make decisions as that person would. You do not wait until you become them to start acting that way. You become them by acting that way first. There will be resistance at the start. The old you will fight for survival. It will whisper that change is too hard, that the new version of you is fake, that you should stay where it is safe. Ignore it. Every version of you that came before was just preparation for this one. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about progression. Each moment you choose the new self, the old one loses power. You must also align your environment with your identity. If you want to see yourself as focused and disciplined, surround yourself with reminders of that truth. Keep your workspace clean. Create order around you. Environment shapes behavior, and behavior reinforces identity. You cannot become your highest self while living in chaos. The disciplined identity also thrives on standards. People often confuse goals with standards. A goal is something you want. A standard is something you refuse to live without. The disciplined person does not negotiate with standards. They do not say, "I hope to work hard today." They say, "I do not go to bed without putting in the work." Standards eliminate debate. They transform action from a choice into a must. The strongest identities are also rooted in meaning. Discipline without purpose becomes mechanical. But when your actions are tied to something deeper, they become sacred. You do not wake up early just to work. You wake up because you are building a legacy. You do not train your mind to focus just for productivity. You do it because you respect the potential within you. Meaning fuels discipline in a way motivation never can. It is important to understand that the disciplined identity is not about rigidity. It is about alignment. You do not have to live without emotion or flexibility. You simply act in accordance with your highest values even when you do not feel like it. The disciplined person experiences the same emotions as everyone else, but they do not obey them. They lead themselves through them. Becoming this version of yourself takes time. There will be days when the old patterns pull you back. Do not mistake those moments as failure. They are proof that you are still in the process of transformation. Each time you return to discipline, you strengthen the new identity. Every comeback is a victory. To make discipline permanent, you must make it emotional. Logic tells you what to do. Emotion drives you to do it. Connect your habits to who you love, what you value, and what you stand for. When discipline becomes a reflection of your character, not just your ambition, it becomes unshakable. The world around you will notice the change. You will carry yourself differently. You will speak with conviction. People will sense the certainty in your presence. The reason is simple. When you act in alignment with who you believe you are, there is no hesitation, no internal conflict, only clarity. Becoming the disciplined identity means living with integrity. It means your actions match your words, and your behavior matches your beliefs. You no longer need external validation. You no longer rely on motivation. You are driven from within. That kind of power cannot be faked. It can only be built. Discipline is not a finish line. It is a lifestyle. Once it becomes part of your identity, it influences every decision you make, from how you work to how you rest. You no longer have to chase consistency. You become consistency. In the next chapter, we will go deeper into the art of resilience. You will learn how to stay disciplined, not just when things are easy, but when everything falls apart. Because identity gives you strength, but resilience keeps it alive when the world tests it. Chapter 8, The Art of Resilience. There will come a point when your strength is tested. When everything you built begins to shake, when discipline feels heavy and your focus starts to fade. This is the stage where most people quit. Not because they lack talent or intelligence, but because they never learned the art of resilience. Resilience is not about avoiding pain. It is about mastering it. It is the ability to stand tall in chaos, to stay composed when things fall apart, and to keep going when nothing seems to work. Life will always test your commitment to your goals. Every obstacle is a question. How bad do you want this? Every setback is a mirror. Are you still the same person who started, or have you grown stronger? The truth is that progress is not built on comfort. It is built on pressure. Diamonds form in fire, not in ease. The same is true for character. The first step in mastering resilience is understanding that adversity is not punishment. It is feedback. It is the world's way of showing you where you still need strength. Every failure, every rejection, every delay carries a lesson. Those who learn from these lessons evolve. Those who resist them repeat them. The most resilient people are not born different. They simply interpret struggle differently. When something goes wrong, the average person asks, "Why me?" The resilient person asks, "What now?" That question shifts everything. It pulls your attention away from the pain and back to your power. Resilience begins with ownership. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And in that response lies all your strength. The second key to resilience is emotional regulation. When challenges hit, your emotions surge. Anger, fear, frustration, they flood your mind and cloud your judgment. You cannot make strong decisions in a storm of emotion. Learn to pause, breathe deeply, observe the chaos without reacting to it. This pause is not weakness. It is power. It gives you space to choose your next move with clarity instead of panic. Every time you stay calm under pressure, you train your mind to trust you. That trust becomes confidence. Confidence becomes courage. Courage becomes composure. This chain reaction is what allows resilient people to rise when others fall. Another pillar of resilience is perspective. Problems always feel bigger when you are inside them. Step back, zoom out. Ask yourself if this setback will matter in a month, a year, or 5 years. Most of the time, the answer is no. Perspective turns mountains into molehills. It reminds you that everything passes. No storm lasts forever, but many people give up before the sun returns. Resilient people also understand the importance of recovery. You cannot fight endlessly without rest. There is strength in knowing when to step back and recharge. Burnout is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you forgot to refuel. Resilience is not the ability to push non-stop. It is the ability to rise again after resting. When you recover properly, you come back stronger, sharper and wiser. Pain can either destroy you or develop you. It depends on how you use it. If you run from pain, it chases you. If you face it, it teaches you. Every difficult season has the potential to shape your mindset and expand your capacity. When you see pain as a teacher, not a threat, you start to move differently. You stop fearing discomfort and start using it as fuel. There's a concept called anti-fragility. It means not only surviving stress, but growing from it. Imagine lifting weights. Every repetition tears your muscles slightly, but when they heal, they come back stronger. The same process happens in your mind. Every challenge tears a little, but if you reflect and rebuild, your resilience grows deeper. To cultivate resilience, you must remove the illusion of fairness. Life is not fair. Some people start with more advantages, more support, more opportunities. But that does not matter in the long run. What matters is what you do with what you have. The game is not about fairness. It is about endurance. Resilient people accept this truth early. They do not waste time wishing for an easier path. They focus on becoming stronger for the path they have. You must also surround yourself with the right people. Resilience grows in environments that challenge and uplift you. If everyone around you complains, you will adopt their mindset. If you surround yourself with those who push forward despite the odds, you will do the same. Energy is contagious. Choose your circle wisely. Faith is another powerful element of resilience. Whether that faith is in a higher power, in your purpose, or in yourself, it gives you something to hold on to when logic fails. Faith whispers, keep going when reason says stop. It reminds you that storms do not mean failure, they mean growth. It is also important to redefine failure. Most people fear failure because they see it as an end. The resilient see it as data. Every failed attempt provides feedback. It reveals what does not work, so you can get closer to what does. The faster you learn from failure, the faster you grow. Failure only defeats those who stop learning from it. To stay resilient, you must reconnect with your vision often. When fatigue sets in, remember why you started. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Revisit it daily. The mind forgets easily when faced with stress. Your vision reignites purpose, and purpose reignites energy. The final piece of resilience is adaptability. The world changes. Plans collapse. People disappoint you. If your strength depends on everything going perfectly, you will always be fragile. Resilient people bend without breaking. They adjust quickly. They do not cling to the old way when a new way is required. Adaptability is not giving up. It is evolving. Resilience does not mean you never feel pain. It means you do not let pain define you. It means you rise after every fall, not because it is easy, but because it is who you are now. Every time you stand back up, you reinforce your identity as someone who cannot be broken. Remember this truth. The strongest version of you is forged in struggle. Without resistance, there is no growth. Without pain, there is no power. Every test you face is shaping you into someone who can handle greater success. Do not curse the storm. Learn to dance in it. Resilience turns failure into wisdom and pressure into power. When you master it, life no longer intimidates you. You stop fearing what might go wrong and start trusting that no matter what happens, you will handle it. That mindset is the foundation of freedom. In the next chapter, we will explore how isolation and solitude can become tools for power, clarity, and focus. You will learn why stepping away from the noise is often the key to stepping into your greatness. Chapter 9. The Power of Isolation. In a world that glorifies constant connection, isolation is often misunderstood. People assume that being alone means being lonely, but the truth is that isolation is not emptiness. It is power. It is the space where your mind resets, your clarity sharpens, and your focus returns to what truly matters. Every great transformation begins in solitude. When you step away from the noise of the world, you step closer to the voice within you. You cannot build greatness surrounded by constant distraction. Every message, every conversation, every opinion you absorb pulls a piece of your focus away. It is not that you lack motivation. It is that your energy is scattered. You're trying to build a masterpiece in a hurricane of noise. Isolation is not about cutting people off. It is about cutting through the chaos. It is choosing silence over chatter, presence over performance, and purpose over approval. The first power of isolation is clarity. When you spend time alone, you start to hear your own thoughts clearly. You begin to separate your voice from the voices of others. You start to notice what truly drives you and what is merely borrowed ambition. Most people chase goals that do not belong to them. They are influenced by comparison, validation, and fear of missing out. Solitude breaks that illusion. In silence, the truth becomes louder. Clarity is not found in movement. It is found in stillness. You do not need more information to understand your path. You need fewer distractions. When you sit alone long enough, you start to see patterns in your behavior, habits in your thoughts, and meaning in your struggles. You realize that every answer you have been searching for was waiting inside you the entire time. Isolation is the mirror that reflects your truth without distortion. The second power of isolation is strength. When you learn to stand alone, you become unshakable. Most people rely on external motivation to keep going. They need validation, company, or support. The moment that disappears, they collapse. True strength comes from internal grounding. When you train yourself to thrive in solitude, you stop depending on others to feel confident or capable. You learn to be your own source of stability. Think about every great creator, thinker, or leader throughout history. Their breakthroughs were born in silence. The writer retreats into solitude to create. The athlete isolates to train without distraction. The visionary withdraws from noise to see what others cannot. Isolation is not a retreat from life. It is a return to focus. It is in those quiet moments when you realize that you are capable of more than you thought. However, solitude is not easy at first. When you remove distractions, you are left face to face with yourself. That is what most people fear. They fear their own thoughts, their regrets, and their doubts. But if you stay with the discomfort long enough, something shifts. You begin to accept yourself fully. You start to understand your flaws and strengths without judgment. That acceptance breeds peace, and peace is the foundation of power. Isolation also reveals what you need to release. When you spend time alone, you start noticing which people, habits, and environments drain your energy. You realize how much of your life is built around pleasing others or escaping silence. Solitude exposes truth. It shows you where you are attached and where you are avoiding growth. It gives you the courage to let go of what no longer serves you. In solitude, your creativity awakens. The mind needs stillness to connect new ideas. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, your thoughts stay shallow. But in silence, your imagination deepens. You begin to see connections that were hidden before. Some of the most revolutionary ideas in history came from people who dared to disconnect long enough to listen to their own thoughts. Creativity does not thrive in noise. It breathes in stillness. There is another reason isolation is so powerful. It protects your energy. When you are constantly exposed to other people's emotions, opinions, and problems, your mind becomes cluttered. Even without realizing it, you absorb the energy of those around you. Spending time alone allows you to cleanse that buildup. It resets your nervous system and restores emotional balance. You come back to the world lighter, calmer, and more centered. Isolation is also where discipline is tested. When no one is watching, who are you? When there is no applause, will you still do the work? Solitude removes the safety net of validation. It forces you to act from pure intention. The truly disciplined person does not perform for others. They perform for purpose. If you can stay focused, consistent, and motivated in isolation, nothing can shake you when the world returns. But isolation must be used wisely. There is a difference between solitude and escape. Solitude is intentional. Escape is avoidance. Solitude builds you. Escape hides you. The key is to isolate for growth, not to run from pain. Use solitude to reflect, plan, and strengthen, not to numb or withdraw permanently. When used correctly, isolation becomes your forge, the place where you are refined by silence and return sharper than before. The beauty of isolation is that it deepens connection later. When you know yourself, you connect more authentically with others. You stop seeking approval because you have already found peace within. You listen better because you are not distracted by insecurity. You love deeper because your presence is full. Isolation teaches you how to be whole before you share yourself with the world. There will be people who misunderstand your isolation. They will call it coldness, arrogance, or selfishness. Do not let their confusion pull you back into the noise. The truth is, people who fear solitude often project that fear onto others. They do not understand that isolation is not about rejection. It is about alignment. You are not pulling away from the world. You are preparing to return stronger. Use isolation as a tool. Create regular moments of solitude. Disconnect from the digital world for a few hours each day. Spend time in silence. Journal. Walk without your phone. Meditate. Reflect. These moments are not wasted time. They are mental training sessions. They strengthen your awareness, focus, and creativity. Over time, you will begin to crave this stillness because it becomes the space where your best ideas are born. When you master the art of isolation, you master yourself. You no longer chase distractions or validation. You move with purpose and peace. The world becomes louder, but you stay calm. The more chaotic things get, the more centered you remain. That is true power. The ability to stay grounded in silence while everyone else drowns in noise. In the next chapter, we will explore the final stage of transformation, becoming unbreakable. You will learn how to anchor your focus, discipline, and energy so deeply that nothing external can shake your internal strength. Because when isolation gives you clarity, unbreakable focus gives you victory. Chapter 10. Becoming unbreakable. Everything you have learned up to this point leads here. Focus, discipline, energy, resilience, and solitude all prepare you for one ultimate goal: becoming unbreakable. To be unbreakable is not to live without pain or failure. It is to face life's chaos and remain whole. It is the quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you will endure, adapt, and rise again. The unbreakable person does not depend on perfect circumstances. They have learned to stand tall in storms that make others fall apart. They have built an inner foundation that cannot be shaken by rejection, loss, or doubt. They do not seek strength from the outside world because they have already found it within. Becoming unbreakable begins with acceptance. Life will not go as planned. People will disappoint you. Opportunities will slip away. The world will test your patience and your purpose. The unbreakable do not resist this truth. They embrace it. They understand that pain is part of the process. Growth requires friction. Progress demands resistance. When you stop expecting life to be easy, you stop breaking every time it gets hard. The first principle of being unbreakable is emotional control. The strongest people are not the ones who feel nothing. They are the ones who remain steady through everything. They experience pain, but they do not become pain. They acknowledge emotion without allowing it to dictate action. Every time you choose composure over reaction, you become stronger. Control is power. When you master yourself, the world loses its ability to control you. The second principle is purpose. Purpose gives pain meaning. Without it, every obstacle feels like punishment. With it, every obstacle feels like preparation. When you know why you're doing something, you can endure almost anything. Purpose turns struggle into strength and failure into refinement. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start saying, "This is happening for me." To be unbreakable, you must also be adaptable. The world changes constantly. The plans you made yesterday may not work tomorrow. Flexibility does not make you weak. It keeps you alive. The unbreakable mindset bends, but never snaps. It shifts with life's winds without losing direction. Rigidity breaks under pressure. Adaptability endures it. The ability to pivot while keeping your vision intact is what separates the ordinary from the unstoppable. Another essential part of becoming unbreakable is faith. Not blind faith, but trust in your ability to figure things out. You do not need to know how everything will work. You only need to know that you will not quit until it does. That belief creates momentum. It removes hesitation and fuels persistence. Faith is the bridge between uncertainty and achievement. It allows you to keep moving when logic says stop. You also need to develop an unshakable relationship with failure. Failure is not your enemy. It is your mentor. It teaches lessons success never could. Every time you fall and get up again, you become harder to break. Every scar is proof that you survived. The unbreakable person is not fearless. They simply fear regret more than they fear pain. They understand that failure only defeats those who surrender to it. Mental toughness is built through repetition. Every time you face discomfort and choose to endure it, you strengthen your mind. When you push one more time, one more rep, one more hour, you train yourself to stop quitting. Your threshold expands. What once felt impossible becomes routine. Discipline turns into instinct. The mind learns that struggle is not a signal to stop, but a call to grow. Becoming unbreakable also requires self-respect. You cannot stay strong for long if you constantly betray your own standards. When you say you will do something, do it. When you set a boundary, keep it. Integrity is the armor that protects your mind from self-doubt. Every time you honor your word, you build internal trust. That trust becomes unshakable confidence. You stop looking for approval because you respect yourself enough to lead your own path. Isolation, which you learned about in the previous chapter, plays a vital role here too. The ability to stand alone makes you immune to manipulation. When you are not afraid of being alone, you stop tolerating what drains you. Solitude is the space where the unbreakable mindset is reinforced. It is where you remind yourself of your strength, your goals, and your vision without outside influence. The unbreakable also have the power of patience. The world moves fast, and most people panic when results take time. But the strong know that mastery is a marathon, not a sprint. They can stay consistent for months or even years without visible progress because they trust the process. Patience is not passive. It is sustained faith in motion. Every moment you stay consistent, even when it seems like nothing is happening, you are building an invisible foundation that will support your future success. Gratitude is another cornerstone of being unbreakable. Gratitude keeps you grounded when life gets heavy. It shifts your focus from what is missing to what is working. When you are grateful, you cannot be bitter. When you are thankful, you cannot be broken. Gratitude is the mental reset that turns chaos into clarity. You will notice something about the unbreakable. They have quiet confidence. They do not need to prove their strength to anyone. They walk calmly through situations that make others panic. They do not shout their resilience. They embody it. True strength does not demand attention. It commands respect through presence alone. To become unbreakable, you must practice detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means you no longer let external outcomes define your internal peace. You give your best to everything, but stay calm, whether it succeeds or fails. You no longer cling to control over what is beyond you. This emotional freedom is what allows you to thrive under any condition. Becoming unbreakable is not a destination. It is a daily practice. Every decision, every thought, every challenge becomes a chance to prove to yourself that you are stronger than yesterday. Some days you will win. Some days you will struggle. But as long as you do not quit, you are already unbreakable. When your mind is grounded in discipline, your emotions are balanced with peace, and your focus is anchored in purpose, nothing can destroy you. The storms that once terrified you now train you. The setbacks that once broke you now build you. The pain that once defeated you now fuels you. You no longer live in fear of life's uncertainty because you have learned the truth. You are stronger than anything that happens to you. Becoming unbreakable is not about becoming hard. It is about becoming whole. It is about knowing that you can bend without falling apart, feel deeply without losing control, and face pain without losing purpose. It is the highest form of freedom to move through life with courage, clarity, and calm, no matter the storm. This is where focus transforms into mastery. This is where discipline becomes identity. This is where you stop surviving and start leading your own life. You have rebuilt your focus, reshaped your habits, and reclaimed your power. You are no longer a person chasing control. You are the embodiment of it. You are unbreakable.